Good day of July 2009. I'm joined by council members, hopefully Mr. Rosendahl and Mr. Alarcon. Mr. Parks has been excused. Item number 1, Madam Clerk.
Well, we have several preferential parking district renewals, if you wanted to take those all together in
All
consent.
together.
Okay, that's item 1 through 6. Those are all preferential parking districts, so I would recommend you approve those.
1 through 6.
Okay.
Great.
That would bring us to item 7, which is the DOT 2009 Local Development Report and Resolution.
We're going to hold on that. And how about number 8?
Item 8 is, that's in Mr. Rosendall's motion. Did you want to hear that?
We'll hold that. We'll hold that.
Okay. Item 9, we're waiting for the city attorney to report on, if we could hold on to that one.
Okay, let's look at 11 and 12. We'll hold on that.
11.
12. Let's go 12. Item 12.
12, motion Garcetti Rosendahl, relative to authorizing the release of an RFP for the development of the parking lot number 742 located at, on North Wilcox Avenue.
Anyone here want to speak to that?
DOT is here to report.
Good afternoon, Council Member Rene Sagles, LADOT.
Yeah, I'm just sorry. All those who came late, you got to go to the attendance office to get a tardy slip. All right, good. No, you're sitting over there now? What happened over there? Okay. This item here, number 12.
Item number 12 is a request to authorize LADOT and the Los Angeles Housing Department to jointly issue a request for proposal for the development of parking lot 742 located at 1633 North Walcott Avenue. This is a city-owned public parking, and it's been owned and operated as a parking lot since 1994. Currently, it's a highly utilized parking facility with 147 public parking spaces. There was a motion that was brought forth for LADOT to explore the development. An RFI, a request for information, was released in November of 2008. We got 13 responses, and from there, we were able to come up with some recommendation on what the possible development that could be done for the lot.
So you support it, your department supports it, you're going to go out and get RFP, you're going to work with the council office, it's going to be public noticed?
Yes, there will be.
Good, all right. I'm going to recommend approval.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you. Now, let's go back, if we could here. On item number 4, we did receive a card. On item number 4, and there's another card there. Ms. Schechter, could you hand me that card? Yeah, okay, good. And then Ms. Schechter will get that other one there. Is Drew DeSanti, is that right? Okay, come on up, Drew. Item number 4.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Yes.
2 minutes?
Yeah, 1 minute. If you need to, keep going.
It'll be quick.
Yeah.
So thank you for letting me address the committee. Just want to stress the importance and the urgency of this temporary permit district we're asking for the 2900 block of Selby. We've been working on this thing for years. I've got a list of our issues: broken glass, trash, human exit, used condoms, sleeping, dressing, undressing, park and ride style issues, blocking the street, abandoned cars, noise, loitering, stolen cars. I mean, the list goes on and on. We have support from our CD5 councilman, our old Jack Weiss, and our new one, Walcott. Also the West Side Neighborhood Council, support letter from 2007. Westwood Garden Civic Association supports it, 2008 letter. And also now the Overland Avenue Bridge widening is going to create a permanent loss of 9 to 12 spaces very close to this area that would affect us negatively.
But you support it, we're going to approve it.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming to City Hall. I'd like to ask also Teresa Baca. Hi, Teresa.
I basically can just say the same things that Drew said. I'm the one that did the petition, and we've been waiting for years trying to get this, and our quality of life has just been so lowered by all the cars that we're constantly having, and that so much of what we're getting is with abnormal hours. You know, people coming really early in the morning, they're setting their alarms, coming, they're going. Some people stay there, they leave their cars for days. People like living in their cars, and it's just, it's crazy. And the building has businesses that were not the type of businesses that were supposed to be in there. We're having groups of like 30 people descend on our neighborhood before 7 o'clock in the morning, and we just desperately need this, and I'm urging you to approve it.
We're going to approve it. Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, when would this be in council?
Mr. Chair, this could be in council next Wednesday.
Okay, we're going to, for approval next Wednesday. Thank you very much. Let's ask Ms. Schechter to call the council offices just to see if council people are coming. Let's do item number 8.
Item number 8 is a Rosendahl-Hahn motion relative to the sale of municipal off-street parking lots number 654 at South Beloit Avenue.
Anybody here to speak to this? Thank you, everybody. And for those of you who came from Shelby Avenue, Sir Drew, if you want, you can take the elevator to the top of the city hall and look out above your city. There's a beautiful observation deck up there. You may enjoy it. You came all the way down here, take a few more minutes. You'll enjoy it. Thank you. Okay. All right, here we go.
Renee Sackus again, LADOT. This is a request to authorize the general manager of LADOT to declare municipal parking lot number 654 as a surplus property and approve the transfer to GSD to be sold as a for commercial development within the approved zoning property. This is work with CD 11, and CD 11 is right here with us.
Where's CD 11? Staff, come on up, you. Don't be shy.
Hi, good afternoon. Arthur Dubinian, Office of Councilman Bill Rosendahl.
Yes. You guys support this?
Yes.
How many spaces are in this lot now?
Currently, there's 20 spaces that are being used. It's a very small lot, and there is a development that's ongoing right adjacent to the lot, and it would be more, it's in a better development. It would be better for the community for it to be worked with the commercial.
Very good.
I think the council office had a few technical amendments we wanted to make to the motion that specifically directed the departments to do things, so we've provided that information to the clerk. So if we can approve it as amended.
Do you have any technical amendments ready to go?
I'm trying to clarify that right now.
For the council office, do you have any technical amendments?
Yes, we do, actually.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. Council member wishes to strike all the move clauses from the original motion and substitute them with the following directives. Move that the City Council directs DOT, Department of Transportation, to seek the declaration of municipal parking lot number 654, located at 1611 South Beloit Avenue, as surplus property from the Board of Transportation Commission. I further move that the City Council authorize the General Manager, Department of Transportation, to the release of a request for bid to sell said property at fair market value for use as commercial development within the approved zoning for the property, and further move that the City Council instruct the General Manager, Department of General Services, to prepare all necessary documents, including the preparation of a Class C estimate, to effectuate the sale and to deposit the net proceeds from the sale of municipal parking lot number 654 in the Special Parking Revenue Fund.
Okay, I accept those as amendments. Madam CLA, those official amendments you could have documented and put in the official file for when it goes before council?
Okay.
Okay, anyone want to speak on this issue? On matters recommended for approval? Sir? Thank you. Okay, that is item number 8. So we're left with 9, 10, and 11, okay?
Oh, we still have 7, too.
Let's hear from 7.
Item 7 is the DOT 2009 Local Development Report and Resolution.
Right. And what I would like to ask, some of these are like issues, the Prop R, et cetera, that we, when they all go to council, they go together, and you can give a report to council on these issues.
Good afternoon, Councilmember
Good
Labange.
afternoon.
Last time I saw you was at LA Live. It was on a Friday morning a couple of weeks ago.
That's right.
So, how are you? Anyway, I'm Miles Mitchell with the Department of Transportation, and this is our annual report. It's a rather straightforward report. We give this every year. We simply ask that the council adopt a resolution indicating that they are in support of the congestion management program, and that resolution is included in your packet. Again, we do this every year. The report that we're bringing to you today is simply a compilation of the development activity that has occurred since from June 1, 2008 to May 31st, 2009. And this report is one of several elements that are required to ensure that the city remains in compliance with the congestion management program. By remaining in compliance, the city receives approximately $25 million in Section 2105 funds every year, and that goes to the Department of Public Works. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer
Mr.
them.
Ellico?
Actually, so one of the things that you estimate is that 40% of the morning traffic coming into the Northeast Valley is from LA County, not in the city of LA.
Where are you reading that, sir?
I'm reading this from my staff's report.
40% of the traffic coming into North
Coming
LA.
into the Northeast San Fernando Valley is coming from the county.
All right. That's not part of our report, however, but
It's item 7.
We're at item 7, right?
Item 7?
yes.
Yeah, for the record, Madam Clerk, please read our consideration here.
Mr. Chair, item 7 is a Department of Transportation report, and there's 2 pages to it, and it's for the congestion management program. If you would like, I could read it, but it's several.
No, that's good, we got it.
Okay.
No, I guess my concern is that there's a tremendous burden on the Northeast Valley placed by regions outside of the city of Los Angeles. I'll give you an example. If you recall, the county had approved a subdivision to provide for the building of 20,000 homes in Newhall, I believe it was. And we asked for the county to reconsider that. We opposed it. And I had asked the planning department to get ahead of the curve and identify projects outside of our area. The reason we opposed it was because the 20,000 homes, there was a projection that there was going to be a creation of, I think it was less than 20,000 jobs in the next 20 years in Santa Clarita. So if they built 20,000 homes, obviously those people would have to come to the city of LA to get jobs, or through the city of LA to get jobs. So with regard to the congestion management program, what are we doing to address the incoming traffic in the Northeast San Fernando Valley that is coming from the county? I mean, do we have a strategic plan with the MTA to address that issue? It's as much a concern of the constituents of the, for example, Mr. Antonovich, to provide more fluid transportation in the Northeast Valley, because 40% of the people that are going through are coming from his district. And so what are we doing to engage the MTA in strategies to address that congestion, which severely impacts the city of Los Angeles residents?
It's a very good question, and we've heard that question over the years many times in terms of traffic coming into the city from surrounding areas outside the city and so forth. However, I am not a transportation engineer, and would have to defer to someone like Jay Kim, who I report to, who's the principal engineer in our department, to describe the mitigation measures and levels of service and so forth for the various key intersections in that area and what we might do to mitigate those traffic impacts. It's an excellent question. I'm just not, it's not.
But isn't it
part of our report.
the purpose of the congestion management program to identify areas of congestion and manage them?
You are correct. One of the elements of the congestion management program is that we do count every 2 years the traffic in the largest, the busiest 47 intersections in the city. And we did that this spring as well, and that report was also sent to the MTA. Some of those intersections are in the San Fernando Valley, and so we do have those statistics. Again, we do that every 2 years, and so that would be something that perhaps we could get back to you on in terms of traffic levels, levels of service in 2009 relative to 2007, 2005, and so forth. So it is one of the elements of traffic, counting the 47 largest intersections. That is part of our compliance with the congestion management program. In addition to this report, which we do every year, which is to summarize development activity throughout the city.
Mr. Rosendahl, we're joined by Mr. Alacon.
And I want to apologize for being late. I was with Thorpe looking at Expo Phase 2, and so it was very critical for us, and I needed to be with them. Thank you.
Mr. Thorpe is with the MTA and has been the key engineer, project manager for Expo, as well as the Gold Line, etc.
And he says he's working closely with DOT. I just want to know that on the record there. He says everything is going great.
Let me ask a question to Mr. Alacon. You said you have the 47 intersections impacted? And you're not dealing with the freeway system, you're dealing with the street system?
Correct.
And where is that list?
I don't have that list with
Okay, I got a computer in 480. I'll hold this on the desk, go down, use my computer, log on, my name if you want, your name, and we'd love to see that. Wouldn't you think that'd be helpful for us to make a decision?
The list?
Yeah. Yeah. So why don't you, we'll hold it on the desk and go get the list.
It's actually not online.
Wow, I don't know if anything's online other than me.
Those statistics are not yet online.
Yeah. Where are they?
It's just a hard copy. It's a report that we have sent. It's a big, actually it's about 2 inches thick, the report that we send to the MTA.
Well, let me ask Mr. Fisher. I saw Mr. Fisher here earlier. Is Mr. Fisher still here in the house? Hey, John, how can we do this? I think this would be interesting information. This is an annual report. You know, I think Highland and Franklin were the #1 intersection in the city, and I think it also helps when we know what impacted intersections are. This is not enough information, I think. Right, Mr. Alacon?
Yeah.
Right. So we should get this information before we approve this.
Well, if I may, this report is due to the MTA by September 1st every year, and this is independent, frankly, of the information that you're looking for. So.
No, but you mentioned the 47, so that piqued my interest, and Mr. Alacon was prepared with his notes there and the report, and I think you should deliver to the committee that report, and if it's not online, I used to use it in Underwood, was it Underwood typewriter? Or what are you using?
IBM Selectric.
IBM Selectric. And also, I think point 2, which Mr. Alacon spoke of, is the I-5 corridor. I know the federal government is improving I-5 from the 134, I believe, to the 170. Is that correct? Does anybody know that 170? But I also know there's no money to improve the 170 at the 5, so you merge down from 3 lanes to 2, and there's always that choke point if you go from central Los Angeles out through the valley. So my suggestion would be is we're going to have another committee meeting, right? Well, in August?
Yes.
So you got 2 weeks to brush up your Shakespeare, okay?
Okay. So you'd like us to come back with a discussion of the findings from the count we do every 2 years, in which we calculate the traffic in the 47 largest.
Right, and you could invite Jay Kim if he's available, or his designee, whomever, and also I think giving Mr. Alacon and others the question of the northeast San Fernando Valley, impacts of Interstate 5 and all of that. I believe there's 96 million cars and trucks that pass that area every year. All that is important. Even though you're not responsible for the highways, you could find out.
Well, do you do a nexus study with the freeway system to understand
We do not
how much
do-
of the compaction in these 47 key intersections is caused by freeway compaction?
That particular congestion management count does not involve freeways. It's only the 47 largest arterial intersections in the city.
So you're essentially saying that we're in control, or we're in compliance on with the state congestion management program, but it doesn't really tell us much of anything else.
Well, the legislation goes back to 1990, I think, with the passing of Proposition 111, and the program began actually. The MTA coordinates the congestion management program. That began in 1992, and again. The elements to comply is we have to adopt the Transportation Demand Management Ordinance, which we did in 1993. We adopt the resolution that's included in your packet today. We conduct the 47 largest intersection counts. Those are arterials. And then we compile the development activity, which you have in your report today. Those are the four required elements that we have to comply with to receive the $25 million from the state.
All right, so with that, we can continue this. Is that okay with you, Mr. Alarcon?
I'm okay with voting for it. They're two different issues.
All right, well then...
But I would, if you could provide us with a list of the 47 locations, I would appreciate that.
Okay, good, Mr. Rosendahl. We'll move forward, but get the list.
Okay.
Okay, when will we have the list?
The next meeting or
No.
To our offices, you don't
To
have
our
to...
offices.
your offices.
Yeah.
We can give you the summary probably tomorrow.
The cliff notes, the two, doesn't need to be two.
It's a 2 or 3 page summary of.
Very good, and list the intersections.
Yes. those
What's
are
the
all-
number one intersection for traffic congestion?
Sepulveda and Ventura, or Sepulveda and Wilshire.
Number one in the city?
Well, they're right up there. I'm not going to say.
Now, you gotta come to, now, if I came to class and the teacher
That's
asked me a
what he
question, I gotta have an answer. I need to know that. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Chair, if I might add to Mr. Alacon's concern, the county has been doing an update of its general plan, especially for the Santa Clarita Valley, and it might be useful to check with the planning department to see if our planning department is monitoring and commenting on that.
Great. So we'll ask the CLA to forward that request, and we're monitoring on it. That is item 7. Next item.
Item number 9 is the Rosendahl Zion motion relative to creating provision for council members to designate discrete and distinct areas of their council districts where people would be allowed to park and sleep overnight.
Anyone here to speak to that issue?
The city attorney will be.
Very good.
We had a staff meeting several days ago to discuss this council motion. We have, the committee is reviewing the Santa Barbara and Eugene, Oregon proposals for overnight parking for the homeless. It is initially our view that we should work primarily with private property rather than city streets. That was the approach taken in both Santa Barbara and Eugene. And we will have additional staff meetings to get into the details of how we might be able to modify the city codes to adopt a plan similar to those two cities.
Mr. Rosendahl, I know this is the maker of the motion. You approve that?
I appreciate what he just said, and I look forward to that continued discussion. I have a bunch of questions, but Mr. Chair, you're up.
Well, questions is these questions, since there's no staff at that table, since we're going to get more research, would we want to read them into the record and then in the Cliff Note version, and then we could forward them?
I certainly look forward to the public speaking as well, but let me just, for the record, but basically for report backs on the following. I want to ask the CLA. Where's the CLA? Anybody here?
Right here. Yo, Maria's always here.
Okay, hi. To report back with possible funding options for this program. Specifically, is there any CDBG savings, or is this a rapid rehousing money available through LAHD or LASA, Los Angeles Homeless Service, for this program? And we obviously are talking to the Obama administration about stimulus monies that would also, and it looks pretty good that
9.
we're on item number 9,
Yes.
which is about the issue of people in cars and campers in the Venice area, everything west of Ellington Boulevard.
With the city attorney's standpoint, do you want to read yours into the record, or whatever you want to?
Yeah, and the second one is, that's the first question, which you got. Ask for a detailed report back from sanitation department in terms of what it thinks will be the cost and maintenance of an effort to run a small pilot program such as this. We're also talking about possibly putting APTs in these private public parks.
Explain what APT is.
Now,
You know what an APT is?
a bathroom,
Okay.
a classy way, saying a rest facility. Ask the CLA to report back if there are existing contracts that we could perhaps piggyback on to do this work, or so that our city departments are not further burdened with yet another new program to establish and maintain. Possible programs to mention a St. Joseph Center, which is located in Venice, and Chrysalis for trash pickup, security services on the site. We want to find a way to minimize the cost exposures of all of this. And then I also want to ask GSD to report back on other sites and pieces of property where a pilot like this could work. Perhaps there are other parcels in CD11 that we are not thinking of or don't know exist as empty lots where we could house 3 or 4 RVs for this program. In other words, I would like us to take a hard look at the 11th District's geography to see what spots could be developed that could assist us in this. And we'd like that as part of the report back.
Thank you. Mr. Alacone? Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Alacone.
I was having trouble identifying this as item number 9 because the kinds of things you're asking for, Mr. Rosendahl, are not consistent with the item before us.
I'm sorry, what?
You said this was a Venice item. This is a citywide.
Yeah, the motion that I have in play talks about in CD11 only that we would do this, not putting the pressure on
Item
other
number
districts.
9?
Let's reread it, Madam Clerk, if you could, for the record. Item 9.
Not what I see.
Item 9 requests the city attorney, in collaboration with the chief legislative analyst, to draft an amendment to LAMC Section 85.02, modeled after Santa Barbara Eugene initiatives, creating a provision for council members to designate discrete and distinct areas of their council districts where people would be allowed to park and sleep overnight. The other proposed moving clause is for chief legislative analyst to explore funding opportunities that would allow for specially designated areas to be matched with staffing, security, and social services as done in Santa Barbara County.
And I'm not a lawyer, Richard, but the word creating a provision for council members to designate, which allows each council member to either move forward with it or not move forward with it.
No, I have a severe problem with every council member creating their own program, which would, I mean, I would think that if there are challenges in the court, they would look for consistency. And if we have no centralized policy, I believe we would be subject to lose in court.
That's true that we very well might be, and that's one of the items that this committee will address when we come back.
Let me say this. I'm going to work in reverse, because that's the way Mr. Rosendahl is working. With regard to your request to get information about areas in your district where you might design a program such as this, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, but that's not part of this motion. Writing a draft ordinance to give council members the power to negotiate with the community where they're going to put essentially, I don't want to call them homeless people, because they're people living on homes on wheels. that's quite a
Sleeping
different,
in
that's
cars
quite a different
overnight.
issue, and I don't think it should be I don't think those other activities should be part of this motion per se, unless you wanted to do that citywide, and I don't know if we want to do that, but I think you should do it. Secondly, the larger concern I have is that the taco truck were just given a major boost by the courts when they said we can't regulate them because they're motor vehicles and they're to be regulated by the DMV. And I would wonder to what extent that would apply here.
Well, there is Vehicle Code Section 21 that says that we cannot regulate what goes on in our city streets unless we're given permission specifically under the Vehicle Code. So in the context of what's being proposed here, we might very well have to go to Sacramento and get the law changed on the state level in order to allow people who are in their RVs to sleep overnight on the streets, if we're talking about designated certain streets for that purpose. So that's why our initial staff discussion thought it would be more fruitful, especially in light of what's being done in Eugene and Santa Barbara, to focus on either city-owned parcels off the streets or privately owned parcels off the streets.
Conceivably, if I could just ask the question, you should read that. If a church wanted to allow this on their church property, and this ordinance is drafted, they could do that then?
No, that's not motor
Well,
vehicle.
that's part of what we're looking at.
Okay.
I mean, the other part I think that Mr. Alarcon is referring to, frankly, this law that exists, Mr. Chair, says it's against the law to sleep in your car. My folks, the police in my district, have found that law problematic to deal with because you bang on the camper and a person opens the door, they're not sleeping in there. So
Not anymore.
That's right. Richard, you got it. And so part of what I have said historically on this issue, it's a dumb law to say people can't sleep in their car and campers because they do. And the second part of that answer for me is these people need respect and dignity. Where are they going to sleep? And that is a societal issue that we need to focus on. So I'm kind of raising that issue within this discussion. And that's why we put this motion forward.
Yeah, there's two elements to your motion. That is a citywide concern, and I appreciate it because every one of us has these little encampments that are being created. The part that I have a problem with is to direct the city attorney to draft an ordinance that would empower each council member to essentially negotiate on their own.
There may be some legal prohibitions and council members being able to do that.
Exactly, and but I disagree on policy. I wouldn't want to do it that way. I think it should be a citywide provision. Otherwise, I think it would be challenged. And the lowest requirements would be the ones that would be the most consistent. And we don't want to fall to the lowest. We want to maintain these in some kind of a way that's consistent throughout the city, but protecting the health and safety of our community. So I'm a little concerned about the language. I'm not ready to vote for this language.
And certainly wouldn't ask you to do that today, right? We're going to continue this and continue the discussion, get reports back, and deal with it in the fall. There's nothing going to happen today.
Okay, that's fine. But
There's a good chance that my office is going to come back and recommend something different in terms of how such a policy might be implemented citywide. When I say different from leaving it within the discretion of individual council members.
okay, I would appreciate your analysis of my comments.
I recommend that we continue this to the second meeting in September.
Yeah, but I just want you to know, Richard, I'm healthily wanting to engage this issue.
Yeah.
And I don't have easy answers for it.
It's a problem, and none of us has an answer yet.
Okay, so the second meeting in September, does that sound good?
It sounds great.
Very good. All right, so ordered. Next item. I'm sorry, I
We're not voting on
apologize.
that yet. The
I
public
apologize.
speak.
Come on up here. Denny, come on up here. Linda Lukes. Lux. David Ewing, I forgot to call the folks. Steve Clove. Claire. Carolyn Rios.
There you go. Got her right. Carolyn.
I apologize. You were sitting back there like good students there, and I said, all right. Thank you. I run a 1-minute clock in this committee. If you need more time, take it. So we can start left to right, whoever wants to speak.
Hello, my name is Steve Clare. I'm Director of the Venice Community Housing Corporation. I just encourage this committee to act on this motion and to create a framework that individual council people can make these determinations for themselves. I thought there was supposed to be a legal report coming back for this meeting, but apparently there isn't one, so we don't know what the legal constrictions might be. But in general, different communities have different ideas, there's different opportunities for finding parking, there's different appetite among different communities in the city for trying to create places where homeless people can be. This motion allows the flexibility for council people who know their districts the best to make those determinations. All this is amending a municipal code, which clearly the city does have power to do because it created the municipal code in the first place to allow sleeping in certain designated parts of city streets and parking lots. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is David Ewing. I'm a Venice resident. By way of identification, I'm also the co-chair of the CD11 Transportation Advisory Committee, but I'm here as a private citizen. I want to correct an error, an informational error. The City of Santa Barbara does use municipal lots in its program. And in fact, when the program when the use of the lots was first brought before the City Council, they voted 5-0 against it. This year, they voted 5-0 to expand their program. So this has been a successful program. Last week, the City of Ventura voted 6-1. City Council in Ventura voted 6-1 to institute a program there. So, if they can do it, I would think the City of Los Angeles should be able to. This is not a Venice problem. This is a citywide problem. It will, may I take a couple more seconds? It's going to take a load off the police department, off the sanitation department, because it is going to start making people responsible for their own situations. It's going to monitor. It's going to get people into programs. And I think you'll find that you have support from the police department on this and from the other agencies that are involved. So I don't see it as expensive. The City of Santa Barbara has 63 campers in their program right now. It costs them $100,000 a year. It involves a lot of volunteer work, and that's the way that it should be handled here as well. Local businesses, now the latest part of their program, the third iteration of their program now, is going to businesses and placing campers in business parking lots overnight in the informal role of night watchmen. It's helpful to the businesses, and the businesses are happy to have them. So this is an expanding program, and I don't want to see the City of Los Angeles tread timidly where other cities have already broken ground. We shouldn't be starting with tiny pilot programs. We've got a major problem already. We've got an economy that's in the tank, and this problem is going to grow. These campers are a safety valve. We can't provide the housing. We have an affordable housing shortage, transitional housing shortages. We use temporary buildings at hospitals, at schools. We use cargo containers on properties and on the street. There's no reason why these vehicles can't also be utilized in a sensible fashion.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name's Carolyn Rios. I'm a board member of the Venice Neighborhood Council, and I am the chairman or co-chairman of the ad hoc committee on housing and, wait, how does that go? The homeless and RV, wow, I'm losing it. Okay. Anyhow, last night at our board meeting, we passed a number of motions that our committee had recommended, and I just want to read to you the one motion on this issue that we did pass. We requested that the City of Los Angeles establish a program funded by the city, county, and possibly private charitable sources and operated by a nonprofit social service provider to provide sites and services to assist vehicular dwellers on a voluntary basis find affordable housing. End of statement.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Linda Lux, and I'm the Vice President of the Venice Neighborhood Council. And I'm speaking here in that capacity mostly as an individual to say that this should be a citywide ordinance, and I know that in time you'll work it out because it's a reality of the world we live in now. More and more people are having to move out of their homes. If they're lucky, they have a car to stay in. And either if they're pulling in a relative's parking lot or in front of someone's house, it's really the moral thing for the city to take it on and to find places, safe places for people to park, plug them into services as a condition of parking there, try to help them into housing and other services that they need. It has to happen. There's no way to avoid it. And it's not a scary thing if it's done with services attached. And I appreciate Councilmember Rosendahl for taking the lead on this and for looking at a pilot program in Venice, but do understand it's a citywide problem, and each of your districts should have some sort of program going. So thank you. I appreciate your attention.
Thank all four of you for coming down, and I apologize for missing you at the start of the end of the discussion. This is going to be held in the second meeting in September. You'll be notified, Madam Clerk. Make sure you have your addresses, or we'll count on the good offices of the 11th District to notify as well. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Next item.
Item number 10 is the Labange Han motion relative to directing DOT to report on Metro's preliminary staff recommendations for the 2009 call for projects.
You want a list of these things? Do you have a list? Good job. You got a list for Mr. Alicone, Mr. Rosendahl? You got a Xerox copier? Good job. Great job. Super. Thank you.
Thank you for the tiny
Michael, good afternoon. For the record, introduce yourself.
My name is Michael Weno. I'm with the Department of Transportation.
I'm Harry Paul Weir, DOT.
So what do we have before us, Ben?
Right now, we just have a list of the projects. What you have before you is the entire list of projects that we submitted, and the ones that are shaded lightly at the beginning of each category are the projects that were awarded funds by MTA. In this most recent call, MTA had $337 million that they awarded. The city received $99 million. At first blush, that may seem a little bit low for the city of LA. We represent about 39% of the population in the county. But there are a couple of interesting circumstances. One is that MTA awarded us $10 million outside of the call for the bike path with the Expo light rail. The second one is that the city really didn't compete very much in one of the categories, the signal sync category, because we received $150 million in the Prop 1B bond issue. And so that would complete our signal sync program, and so we really didn't have a full list of projects to submit there. If you take those two items into consideration, the city received about 38% of the funds that we competed for, which is about what we've received in the past.
Harry Paul, anything to add?
I wish we could do better in one category, street improvements called RSTI. We had very good projects, and our priorities, which we ranked very high on city's list, were not funded. And we have a chance in the board meeting on September 13th to make an appeal if we want to.
November 13th?
September 13th, somewhere in September. We hope that we can win some of those cases, appeals. They are good projects in the city. They are highly congested locations. We would like to move the traffic there. I don't know why MTS staff did not agree with our ranking at all.
How do you articulate that now?
Well, there are two issues. One is the convincing MTS staff they were good projects. Other issue is the finding money. It will be at MTA board's discretion. By that time, we hope to work with MTS staff to find some additional money if we can.
Anything we can do to help, let us know. Mr. Alacon, any questions? Mr. Rosendahl, any questions?
Yeah, I mean, just what Mr. Laban said there, the 13th in September, or 13th, when is the meeting? MTA?
My boss is here. She probably knows. She has to go to the meeting.
Well, just
somewhere in September. I'll find out for you.
Okay. The important thing is obviously that the committee and us have a sense of comfort that we push the envelope as far as we could for our city and for our districts. And if we need to look at what you want to do, please get with us prior to that in one of the discussions we have so that you can carry the water that the city needs carried.
Absolutely.
Will we go to council? Let me ask a question. Madam Clerk, will this go to council before recess? Madam Clerk,
I'm sorry.
will this go to council before recess?
Let's see, if it's approved today, yes, there will be time.
Okay, because I think our colleagues would like to know this too as well.
Recess starts on the 18th,
Correct.
and so there's still August 18th, the recess begins, and council will not be in session until September 8th.
Right, so let's try to have it before council.
The meeting
Before the 18th.
you're interested in at MTA will be planning and programming subcommittee. They'll hear the call recommendations first. It will be on September 16th, and then it will go before the full board on September 24th.
We'll send this to council. 2 weeks. And maybe half a week of Labor Day. Okay, so we got the message. We're going to send this forward to council. You're going to let us know if there's things that you identify for the meeting in September that we should make a last inning pitch to add to it. You're going to keep us posted. You're going to send one of these to every council member, make sure they know about it. And we thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. All right, so ordered. Next item, please.
Item 11 is a DOT report relative to addressing the city's transportation needs using Measure R local return funds and related matters.
And we have one public comment card, too. Dorothy Lee, want to hear the report, and then you can make your comment. Thank you. Thank you, Dorothy. Hi.
Good afternoon. Ken Husting, LADOT.
Hi, Paul Weir, DOT.
What we want to do is report back with an update as far as what's been done with the Measure R local return portion. We did hold an interdepartmental committee meeting on July 9th, 2009, attended by the mayor's office, most of the city council offices, CLA, CAO, and departments of city planning, redevelopment agency, and the bureaus of engineering, street services, and street lighting. And of particular concern at this meeting was trying to help define what were the guidelines that we'd want to see incorporated in Measure R, as well as what do we think should be included in the budget. And so what we did is we actually came up with 3 budget scenarios just for discussion. One of them was a wish list, which had all the different requests from the departments and the council. Unfortunately, that wish list exceeded the proposed budget by about $100 million per year. So then we went back and did another budget scenario where it's called Plan B, where we based it on the Metro's draft 2009 long-range transportation plan, because the first plan, Plan A, the wish list, was based on the mayor's 10-year accelerator program. So Plan B was something that at least got you down to a balanced budget. But unfortunately, there's still so many questions as far as, do we have council office discretionary funds? How much do we give to maintain the existing transit service? How much do we give to fill up the commitments that we have with Metro as far as our call for projects, as well as fulfilling other requests from different departments for certain programs that are in dire need. And there's yet another plan, Plan C, which gave more money to the council discretionary funds. And so there's a lot of discussion that took place at the meeting, and some concerns that were brought up was some council offices felt that there should not be a council discretionary fund. Other council offices felt there should be a council discretionary
Who
fund.
felt there shouldn't be discretionary?
Off the top of my head, it was
Very good. Harry Paul, listen to the
Harry
bench.
Paul's telling me no.
Very good. He's smart. Harry Paul, you're a great veteran. Yeah, very good.
Council District 21, yeah.
Very good, yeah. Very good. You got it.
So anyways, there's also suggestions. There's also suggestions as far as we should possibly be looking at this from a more strategic perspective and maybe try to set aside certain percentage, as was raised last time at the Transportation Committee, a certain percentage for different modal categories, and even take a look at what projects have been funded in the past and maybe revisit them and decide which projects should be delayed, which projects should actually go forward, so we can have a little bit more well-informed decision of how much money to give to existing transit services and existing projects.
What percentage are we on this, Los Angeles City?
Well, the
Is it
overall
strict?
Local return for the major R, cities share about 15%, comes to $30 to $40 million a year, every year. And almost half of that money the city will get will go as match funds for the mega projects, like Subway to the Sea, Expo, and other big projects. So basically, we are left with almost half the amount at the disposal of the city every year, with $20 to $25 million, and city council will have the decision-making that time. We'll continue to meet with your staff and different departments, come to a consensus, and come back to you in the next 60 days with a report.
Last meeting of Trade and Commerce, which Mr. Rosendahl and I sit on with Ms. Hahn, it was brought forth the idea that the airport department deputize a deputy to be a transit czar, because there's a lot of money out there, but people have to watch it to get it. And I know Mr. Rosendahl's great commitment and push to get the Green Line to the airport is key, so we can't miss these opportunities. We've got to look at it. You know, I know on these lists here, sometimes it's very well spread out, and you see like a street at Burbank Boulevard at Vineland, or some kind of small street widening project. I think we have to look at the great city-wide projects that are needed, whether they are the extension of the Orange Line, or whatever the case may be, the subway system, Green Line, etc., and look at it, but we continue on. I'm going to call on my colleagues for any questions. No questions, Madam? We're good. I want to have public comment card. Dorothy Lee from the Los Angeles County Bicycle Coalition.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to make sure that there's some dedicated funding for bicycle and pedestrian projects. We asked the last meeting when this topic was discussed for a set aside of 5% for bikes and 5% for pedestrians, and that should be at least that much.
Say that again?
We wanted to get 5% dedicated for bikes and 5% dedicated for pedestrians from the local return under Measure R. And I want to remind you that under the entire Measure R program, there is no dedicated funding for bicycles and pedestrians. So one of the only options would be to be under local return. So it's a really great opportunity to emphasize bicycle and pedestrian funding, and especially since hopefully Measure R funds will increase as time goes by, and the increase of funding should be proportionate. That's why it should be a percentage. The other thing I want to emphasize is that I know that Councilmember Alarcon and Councilmember Parks at the last meeting when this was discussed expressed support for dedicated funding, and I really hope that that's reflected in the actual proposal.
Yeah. Mr. Rosendahl?
Yeah, first, I totally agree with you, and when we had our meeting just before this meeting with the folks from Expo Line, I talked about the bike path along Expo Line as important as the Expo Line itself, so it must be part of it, and they understood it. So I just want to applaud you for coming up on this, and Mr. Chair, if I could ask for a report back, You know, when the issue was brought up about discretionary funds, I don't know how much money we're really talking about at this point that would fit within these funds. So my first thing is, how much money are we really talking about, is the first question. And then on using these funds, can we look at opportunities like develop a transportation strategic plan that some of us feel has been languishing for 2 years as one issue that maybe these monies could be used for, and secondly, to update our transportation element in general, and 3, to dedicate additional funding for citywide bicycle and pedestrian improvements. These are just some thoughts of what maybe the discretionary money could be used for. Rather than anybody's particular play, it could be these kinds of issues. But I'd like a report back on that so that we get a better understanding of what our options could be.
All right, good. Now, who's going to prepare that for Mr. Rosendahl?
There he is.
Very good. Very good. The man who listens to Harry Paul.
I didn't get it. What happened to the 5% dedication for the bicyclists?
In the law, there was no dedication, and what the Prop R did is they locked in a lot of things, and by law that if this tax is approved, this will go to. What is suggested here, and maybe whether Harry Paul or Mr. Fisher or Ms. Rita Robinson, if you want to speak to it, how much local could be dedicated towards pedestrian improvements or bicycling improvements? How much percentage-wise? Now, you're asking for 10%, which is 10% of 100 is what you're asking for. Could someone give us an answer, what, in all reasonable, I know it's going to be a decision by the council, but...
And keep in mind that this is 10% of the local return. I mean, there's, Measure R's funded a ton of other projects that bicycle and pedestrians aren't included in, so it's not.
We will look into all these aspects. Our goal is to leverage outside funds as well. You know, we can leverage 80% of a project from outside using Measure R and Prop C monies. So we will come out with a detailed report with various options and report back to you on all these ideas.
So, but give me a 5 or 10. What would you say? What could we, what do we know is in there
It's
now?
hard to say at this moment because we are still developing various ideas. I would not commit 5 or 10% at this moment. We will allocate money for bicycles and pedestrians, traffic signals in each council district.
Right.
And we'll come out with recommendations and then you can...
This, Maria, this is going to be held on the desk?
Yeah, we're going to continue this. I think one of the questions they're asking is we're getting roughly $20 million this year. If we set aside 5% and 5%, then that's what it would be. And what DOT is looking at through these discussions is what would the implications be of doing that. The discretionary for the council office was something that was brought up by DOT as an option. How much would that be? What the implications are? And we still have a lot of work to do to figure out.
We have work to do, but maybe we could add that component. Have you ever seen the CAO's report on the budget? They have a pie and it slices up the pie where how much money goes to public safety. Could you get a pie? How much money goes for streets and highways? How much money goes for rail improvement? How much money goes for pedestrian bikeways? I think one of the nicest things you have, I wish I had more in my district. I'm sure Mr. Alacone and Mr. Rosendahl would like those speed limit signs by schools that tell you how much speeding is. That's a pedestrian improvement too. So you do all those, that could be 5 or 10% of the budget, and you'd make everybody happy.
Yes, we, as a department, we are multimodal. We are pro-pedestrian, we pro-bicycles. We make a lot of efforts to get outside monies, leverage a lot of monies for bicycles and pedestrians, and we use Measure R funds to do the same thing.
Okay. So with that being said, Mr. Alacone, any questions?
I'm still not getting a clear answer.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened to the conversation we had about 5%.
They're going to come back and look at it, make it real clear.
I'm not satisfied right now. I need to know.
Well, our satisfaction will be reached when they come
They're
back.
going to come back anyway. I want to know what they're going to say about the 5 and 10%.
Well, right now, we are looking at dedicating 5%. We're exploring the different opportunities to see if for bicycles specifically. We are looking at the scenario. It's one of many scenarios, but that was requested last time, and we are looking at it.
Good.
So you'll be reporting back specifically on the bicycles. What about the pedestrians?
It's both bike and ped.
Thank you. Does anybody have a comment on any issue? Is it not? Madam Clerk, do you have anything else before us?
Mr. Chair, now that Councilmember Alacon and Councilmember Rosendahl has joined you,
Yes, I'd like to be unanimous on all things good.
for the record, that would be items 1 through 6, 8, and 12.
Thank you very much. And this item we just spoke about will be the second meeting in September. Okay, thank you all, and have a good afternoon. If anybody would like a free map, a beautiful map of the 25th anniversary of the Olympic Games, it's over there for you taking.